News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. And there's your closing bell for this Friday on Wall Street, where a record-breaking run drove stocks toward their longest weekly rally since 2024 amid hopes for a deal to end the Iran war. And we bring you the closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 gained 21 points, NASDAQ gained 222 points, and the Dow lost 153 points. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.37%, the 2-year yield at 3.88%. WTI has just topped $102 a barrel, and Brent crude is beyond $108 a barrel. President Trump says the federal government is still looking at a rescue plan for Spirit Airlines and had delivered a final proposal. Spirit is reportedly laying the groundwork to shutter its operations as it runs low on cash. Spirit shares fell 25% in the regular session. Shares had fallen as much as 74% after a Wall Street Journal report that the airline is shutting down. Bloomberg chief correspondent for global aviation, Sid Phillip, says the creditors were a roadblock to agreeing to any deal with the government.
That was primarily because of concerns about basically liabilities and what their recoveries would look like post the government deal. And so because of that, the government deal can't go forward.
Bloomberg Sid Phillip on Bloomberg Intelligence. President Trump says he'll place a 25% tariff on autos from the European Union. The president accusing the EU of not complying with the trade deal.
We have a trade deal with the European Union. They were not adhering to it. So I raised the tariffs on cars and trucks to 25%. That's billions of dollars coming into the United States, and it forces them to move their factory production much faster.
The president spoke to reporters outside the White House. He says the new tariffs will take effect next week. President Trump has issued broad sanctions on Cuban officials and businesses. The White House says the executive order broadens existing sanctions on Cuba and imposes new sanctions on entities, persons, or affiliates that support the Cuban regime's security apparatus. The document does not name those sanctioned individuals. President Trump expressed displeasure with the current state of negotiations with Iran, blaming disjointed leadership in Tehran for preventing a deal.
So they want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied with it, so we'll see what happens.
Trump told reporters outside the White House he would maintain the naval blockade at the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's new supreme leader cast doubt on the likelihood of any deal. Today marks 60 days since the president notified Congress of his attacks on Iran. The law says the president now has to get approval from Congress to keep fighting the war or seek a month-long extension. Congress is in recess until May 11th. ExxonMobil delivered an income beat, though its profit fell to a 5-year low tied to temporary accounting charges on derivatives contracts. ExxonMobil CEO Darren Woods.
If you look at the unprecedented disruption in the world's supply of oil and natural gas, the market hasn't seen the full impact of that yet. And you only have to look at the ranges that oil prices have moved at.
ExxonMobil CEO Darren Woods on the company's first quarter earnings call. ExxonMobil shares less than 1% lower in regular trading. And while Chevron is less exposed to Middle East disruptions, production did dip roughly 5% on a sequential basis. Even so, per-share profit beat analyst estimates, and Chevron shares fell 1.5% in regular trading. We're hearing from 2 of the 3 Fed officials who dissented on this week's rate decision because of language that signaled the next move could be a cut. Bloomberg's Michael McKee reports on the statement from Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari.
He sees 2 scenarios ahead, neither one particularly great for the Fed. One is a fairly quick reopening of the strait, which means rates will be on hold for an extended period, or an extended closure, which would mean rate hikes and potentially a series of them.
Bloomberg's Mike McKee reports Cleveland Fed President Beth Hammack put out a separate statement saying uncertainty has increased for this year and a clear easing bias is no longer appropriate given the outlook. The Pentagon has struck deals with several big tech companies to deploy deploy their advanced AI tools on classified military networks. Oracle, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, and Reflection AI are joining a roster that already includes Google, OpenAI, and SpaceX. Pentagon Chief Technology Officer Emil Michael discussed the new agreements on CNBC.
What we've learned since we started this effort at the Department of War is that it's irresponsible to be reliant on any one partner. And we learned that that one partner didn't really want to work with us in the way we wanted to work with them.
Pentagon CTO Emil Michael was referring to Anthropic, the AI giant that the Defense Department has deemed a supply chain risk. The Trump administration has been looking to expand access to Anthropic's controversial Mythos model. Michael says that's a separate issue. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg.